Welcome everyone, I'm Launa from Solauna Wellness and I have Christina Fernandez here with me today to talk about her spiritual journey. So I hope you're ready for a really interesting story, maybe some tips to help you on your journey, and we'll go from there and we'll get started. So welcome Christina.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So Christina is someone that I've known for a few years now, and she's really excited to share her story and hopefully inspire someone else that may have been through something similar, and we'll go from there. So I invite you to say what you'd like to share. Like, let's start with who Christina is. Where did you start?
I grew up in Montreal, and I lived in group homes and foster homes. And it was a challenging childhood for sure, and a challenging adulthood until about probably 5 years ago.
Okay.
And this past year has been really uplifting. So my journey actually has begun in this past year. I was diagnosed a couple years ago with bipolar, and I didn't embrace it, and I didn't believe that was me. And I came to a crashing halt about a year and a half ago. I had destroyed my relationship, I destroyed my work, and I got myself in a huge amount of debt due to myself, but also due to my bipolar. I was in a manic state, and everything came to a halt, and did not realize that I was in a manic state. And so I had to surrender to taking the medications because I refused. I thought I could deal with it just spiritually, or I could, but I never saw myself. So this past year has been a lot of learning, and I've been able to come to a place and been able to forgive myself for all the past things. And I've been clear enough to be able to look at the things that I had to go through in order to get to this point. So I just want to be inspire that even on your worst day, that there's always hope. One of my worst days is that I had left my partner. I was in a manic state and wasn't thinking, and I ended up sleeping in my car overnight because he didn't want me at the house because I was being intolerable. I lost my job temporarily, and I had myself in debt. Like, I couldn't even put gas in my car. So I had to come to the fruition that I had to be on my meds. And I've been on my meds for the past probably year now. But the thing that I felt that I had lost was my spirituality, because the meds kind of dull that. And but I had to just relearn on how to communicate with spirit. So now I communicate with spirit through music. They show up on the radio, and also through light.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that is a really tough situation to come through, and you have. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, because it's like there's so much integration with how you've always felt to how you feel now, and how you can still figure things out. So you have to transition between, okay, this is how I used to talk to spirit, and that's not working right now. So how do we bypass that and go somewhere else? And so I think that's still a learning thing, right? You're always going to be learning how that works. Right. As anyone would. So it's giving you an opportunity to really build some new pathways.
Yes. And
be okay with having your meds and spirit in a different way.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Because yes, you had really connected so well with spirit for so many years, and to be able to transition your brain and shut that off for the most part, almost, right? And then be able to recirculate how that comes in. That's really good. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So if you would like, do you want to tell us a little more about what your spiritual journey looks like? Like what kind of history do you have? What trainings did you have and experiences and that kind of thing?
I've had lots of mentors in my life. I've been very lucky by having mentors. But I was very resistant to spirit in the beginning. I couldn't understand, like I'd see things, I'd hear things, and I could never understand what it was, and I'd get huge anxiety. But I realized that the anxiety was spirit trying to communicate with me. But it took me a long time to learn that. I was taught by someone that did a bit of shamanism work. I learned Reiki a few times. I've learned on how to visualize, but mostly I could feel people's hearts. I've had to learn to keep my mind quiet, and I think that's the hardest thing. Even now, it's hard some days.
For sure.
Yeah.
And also being able to have boundaries for yourself, right? Otherwise, it's too much.
It's too much. I've had to learn to really do my protection and yeah.
Yes, because energy can really be bombarding if you're an open, exposed nerve.
Yes, yes.
Right? So maybe explain to our viewers what kind of techniques you use to put in those boundaries or create that safe space for yourself.
There's a 12D shield technique that I do. You can find it on YouTube that I use to ground myself. I always put my hands on my heart and set the intention for the day. And for me, I need to ground. It's really important for me to ground. I think that's part of the bipolar. You kind of go, I'm more out in space and I'm grounded. So it's learning to shut off that brain. And if I get bombarded by my thoughts, I replace it with a positive thought.
That's awesome.
A positive, like there has to be there's a negative, but there has to be that positive. It's a lot of work. It's not easy. And I spend time, baths really help.
Yes, water is so
Amazing.
amazing.
Yes.
It really is. I'm gonna just see if I can turn this little light on here. You're plugged in. We'll see, This is all part of what we do here. We have fun, we talk. Okay, I just want a little bit more light for you because it's a little darker in here. So it's really interesting, I find, when I have new clients that come in who have never been exposed to Reiki or energy healing or any of those types of modalities, and they don't know what grounding is. So some of those things seem to be overwhelming for people. They don't even realize a simple word could be so much more.
Yes.
So people have heard the word, but they have no idea what that means.
Okay.
Yeah. So for some people, it might be a grounding mat. It might be just walking out in nature with bare feet. Also visualizing tree roots out of your feet, that kind of thing. Do you have any other tips for people on that?
Your breath will ground you. You take a breath and just be in that breath to ground and set the intention to ground. What I also do is I picture that I'm a tree trunk and that my feet are planted into the earth. I just imagine that's what I do.
So when we think about, like you were talking about the thoughts and the good ones and the not so good ones, with my understanding and what I've been through, the way to know that you have spirit is that they're not asking you or telling you something negative, right? Obviously you can have positive thoughts too, but it's almost like you're having a voice that sounds like you but talks a little differently.
Yes. So that voice will never tell you what to do. It will guide you, but it will not tell you your choices. You need to make that choice. So I try to make choices out of my heart. What else? And they will never be negative.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're always looking out for your highest good.
Highest good.
Yeah. So I think the grounding aspect, there's so many words. You know, it's funny. I had a friend one time say she hates the word grounding. She likes better being connection, because grounding
Right.
feels like you're being punished and put in a corner at school.
Right.
So certain people have that thought.
Yes.
So if that feels better for you, call it connection, being
Yes.
present. Yeah.
Yes.
Because when you're not present,
Present.
then you are out in the ethers somewhere.
Right.
You can't fully function in your physical body.
Yes. So yeah, with me, it's a lot of being present. Being present. If I start to sway, then I realign, and I call it the observer point. So for me, it's the observer point. So instead of reacting, you observe, and then you bring yourself to center.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And sometimes it could be like 3 to 10 seconds even. Just a
Right.
very little amount of time can really bring you back, right?
Yes, and then I always carry rocks in my pockets. So so if I feel like I'm swaying and I'm going to be reactive, I hold on to something in my pocket.
Awesome. So are there any specific ones that you like your favorites?
I like obsidian, and I really like laverite.
Yes, they're so pretty. I love them. They have this iridescent green, if you've never seen a labradorite.
Actually, I'm wearing one.
Oh, yes. We probably can't get a very good close-up right there. Oh, so you can see a shimmer.
Yeah.
I see it there. Yes, and it's such a beautiful thing to have against your skin as well.
Yes.
I have an obsidian mirror that I'm really grateful for, that I got from a friend who went to Mexico. And so I keep that on my skin as often as I can. But I also feel like it might bring up some things too. So
Yes.
I gotta be careful what I'm wearing and why.
Right.
And make sure that it is a protection stone too.
Yes.
But it also brings up my own stuff, right? So it's something to be mindful of. But yes, there's so many crystals out there. Oh my goodness. Lots of times we just invite people to put their hand over something, and if it tingles or feels different, that might be something that they want to try.
Nice.
So yeah. So with your story, so you mentioned about being in foster care and group homes and things like that. So what is that part of your story to bring you to Christina's going to be writing a book? What do you want to start with that story?
My story was that I lived in group homes and foster homes. My parents were both schizophrenic. They just couldn't do parenthood, and I ended up in care quite early. From before the age of 2, I had been in 10 different homes. And then when I was 2 to 9, I was in a very abusive home. But I was a child that was very hard to manage. And so I'd scream for hours. And then when I got older, when I was about 13 or 14, I went to a group home, but it just wasn't for me there. But I had no choice to be there. That's when I was introduced to spirit, because the house was very haunted.
Oh.
And I suddenly could see things like, but part of my story is that they never thought that I would drive. They never thought that I would be successful. They literally thought that I would be somewhere in a locked room and left. And throughout my whole life, I've been determined that I'm not, and I don't know my parents, and not that I don't love them, like they created me, but I just did not want to be like them. And that was my path. My path was going to be that I would be locked up in a hospital. But all my whole life, I was determined that I'm not going to be that way. I've done a lot of mistakes in my life, please don't get me wrong, because of my choices and part of my mental health. But I think I've done really well considering of where I've come from.
Absolutely.
So like I can drive, I can hold on a job, I can hold friendships. So for me, I think I broke that barrier, because my brother, he was schizophrenic, and he was institutionalized when he was 14.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, he passed away in 2013, but I think I'm the only one left in my family, but I feel that I've surpassed
what they thought you could do, right?
Yeah.
By far.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. That's really incredible.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So you've overcome a lot.
Yes. Yeah. And I just have the outline of a book, but my book I'd like to have my book to be inspiring. And I'll tell more stories once I write the book.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't want to give away all the secrets yet.
No.
Yeah, but that's really, I think it's really important. Even, people who want to share their life story or even just get it down on paper.
Yes.
Just writing it down is so important.
Yes.
It helps really clear as
Right.
well.
And I was always ashamed of my story. Like I spent years being ashamed of who I was and where I came from. So it's taken a lot of self-work to be not ashamed and to stand in my power.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you have a family of your own as well.
Yeah, I have a family of my own now, and I have a beautiful granddaughter, and she's amazing. And I have my sons and my daughter. But I mean, I've surpassed everything that I thought I could be.
So a lot of adversaries in your life, and you've overcome, and you've always come back to the light at some point.
Yes.
To find yourself and be true to you.
Yes.
And not letting other people and things define who you are.
Right. And I guess my message is today is that don't give up hope. I know that we're so hard on ourselves, and not to give up hope. That there's always, even if it's just small steps, getting up. And there's days that if you don't want to get up, just get up, have a shower, go for a walk, because there's still days that I have really dark days.
Right. And that's the thing, is we always have dark and light. It's never going to be without the other. And it's always, choosing every day how you want to be. Right?
Yeah, you have a choice.
Yeah. So we were having a little conversation with some of our friends before we started this recording about that. It was really about, we have a choice on what we want to do with our lives. Yes, we might have a set out path, but every detail is not decided, right? So we get to choose how happy we are, how sad we are, who we choose to be with and around, and how we can, be a better version of ourselves every day.
Yes.
Yeah, so by getting up and actually showing up for yourself.
Yes.
Putting yourself first, doing something really nice for you.
Yes.
There's lots of things that people can do. All right, so I have a few little prompts here I thought we could look at here. So what is next for you on your journey? Like, where are you going from here? Like, you're planning on writing a book, so you've got some things started.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you're working on, like self-improvement wise? What are you
Well, I've
working with?
I've started yoga, and I find that has been truly helpful.
Awesome.
There's days that I don't want to go, but I find that it really helps to go. So it helps with my grounding, the breath work. So it has really helped my mental health in that way. And what else? Just trying to be a better version of myself.
Well, I'm proud of you for starting yoga. I also decided last night I joined the chair yoga classes here at our studio because I've been wanting to for months and I just haven't made it a priority. And so I decided to go last night, and I'm telling you, I'm so sore. I didn't think I would be, but I am. So thank you, Jamie. My body says thank you. And it was kind of interesting too, when I was doing some of the movements, I guess I could probably say this. So I used to do P90X. It was one of those, I think, Tony Horton workout DVDs or whatever. And there was a yoga one on there. Imagine. So it was hardcore yoga. And I was like, what am I doing? But funny thing is, when I was doing chair yoga yesterday, those poses and the movements all came back like no problem.
Oh.
There's like muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I can do these things. I used to be really fit. I used to be an athlete. My body's like, what?
Right.
So it was really cool to feel those again and know that my body can recover and I can feel better, and I just have to keep doing those things for myself. Like that's my self-care right now, is my physical body, and I'm not doing such a great job at it all the time, but at least I'm making some choices, And that's the hardest thing, is like sticking to something.
Yes, it is.
Oh man. So yeah, but also not beating myself up I don't want to be guilty because I did something or ate something or whatever.
Right.
But knowing that the positive choices that I took are my progress.
Right.
You know? So it's not the same staying where I was. I'm going to do better.
Right.
That's my choice, right? So yeah, there's so many things I've forgotten that I used to do, but as I do them, they're starting to come back.
Oh, nice.
So I even got ice skates. I still have to use those ice skates. I mentioned that on my last podcast. I still haven't been out, but it's warm now, so maybe I can.
Yes.
Yeah, but looking at, I had a conversation last night even that I used to do burpee challenge.
Oh, wow.
Those are not fun. If you don't know what those are, don't.
Yes.
But I used to do those, and then the person I was talking to said, you know, that's actually really good. So when you get older and you fall down, you know how to get back up and you know how to fall properly as well.
Okay.
I'm like, that's interesting. So then I thought, well, maybe if it's skating at haphazard, I can figure out how to not hurt myself. There's possibilities everywhere.
Yes.
I was like, sure. So there's lots of different ways to look at things and use the things that we have done to incorporate in our life now, the good things. And even the things that weren't so good, we can learn from those as well.
Yes.
And learn on how to improve because of them.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And to share our story, to be able to help others through similar situations. So that's very cool. Right. So another question here. Do you have any dream collaborations or ways you'd love to expand your work?
I like to inspire. I really like to do more mental health work. I really believe that it's so misunderstood. I know that there's a movement now, but it's still taboo in certain areas. Like I feel like in hospitals we just don't understand, or I do, but they don't understand the mental health aspects, and I think we need to take better care of the people, and just to go to their level and just understand.
Right.
Because to me, mental health is your soul is broken, and you need to heal those parts of you.
Yes.
And I feel like that there's hope, but be willing to share and talk to somebody about your struggles.
Absolutely. And I think there's so much emphasis on just the medication and not the other aspects to health.
Yeah.
That you could really bring that together, because there's so many things that yes, there's a place for everything. I think for most things.
Right.
And there's also beautiful things like energy work and other things to complement those, to help people so much more than they're getting right now. So that's a goal that we have, I think, here. You know, we're helping people navigate life with whatever they're given, and also help bring things together so they can work together for the better.
And what's really helped me as well is coming to see you and Sophie with the tuning forks, and it just slows my brain, and it slows. So I think with mental health, you can't just look at medication. I think there's several different aspects that you need to explore.
That's right. So looking at everything from a whole body aspect instead of just one symptom, that's really what we're going for. So,
yes.
Yeah, hopefully one day we can merge, Western and all the things, medicines that people use, because it would make a big difference in so many people's lives. So, putting the energy out there for a wellness center, that's our goal. To bring in doctors and nurses and energy practitioners and all of them under the same roof to be able to help people in the most whole way that they can. So super excited about that. And do you have any connections for people online if you were to want to discuss anything with them? Are you planning on starting a business for yourself for spiritual stuff, or is it more of just the self-interflect?
Right now it's just self-interflect. I'd like to, I'm still working on myself, so, but I think maybe 6 months down the road, I'd like to be able to do tuning forks, Reiki, and just counsel people
That's awesome. So there's
to give them different avenues.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really amazing because, as you know, with energy, people find who they need.
Yes.
Right? And if someone can resonate with your story and know what you've been through, they can know that you understand them.
Yes.
And you're able to help them through those things. That's beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
love it. Okay, so when we go back to talking about Reiki, for example, how long have you been practicing that?
Oh, it's been about 4 years that I've been practicing, and I find the Reiki energy really helps, just the calming effect of it, and I can instantly feel it, and I think that is a big piece.
And so with your Reiki, do you use that on yourself and others? Or like I know you probably do with pets and plants and all sorts of stuff, right?
I haven't been doing it on anybody for quite a while now, just because I've just been working on myself. And I do it on my food and plants and animals.
Awesome. Yes, we were talking about that here at the shop the other day, actually, because we have reverse osmosis water, RO water. And we were feeling, it's dead water, that's no good. We're like, duh, we can do Reiki on our water.
Yes.
It's been a minute since we, I do those things at home and I don't think to do them. Hey, we have a whole big jug in the cooler, why don't we, infuse it? And also add some of the minerals that the earth gives us to make sure that it's refreshing, So yeah, there's little things that we know, but we don't always remember.
Yes.
And so it's just getting into the practice of, even the yoga, like anything, just keeping it consistent. Also this podcast, keeping it consistent. So you're going to be seeing this on Thursday, likely. And we're going to be here every week at 10:30 on Thursdays. Most of the time. It depends if, something else comes up. But most of the time we will be here on Thursdays. And we want to be bringing spiritual topics to you so that you have tools and people to connect to and not feel alone in this big old world. So, do you have any stories from when you took your Reiki training that was really profound for you?
What was really profound for me is the change of thought.
Okay.
It really changed the way that I looked at things and thought of things. It because there's not a rule. That's not what I want to. What the word I'm looking for. But there's a presence that you need to be in for the Reiki, and I find it really helped with the negatives and the nitty shitty committee is what I call it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the things that I found too when I first did Reiki. I took my first session with just my cousin and I and a teacher, and it was really great to connect with her. She was pregnant at the time.
Oh, nice.
And so it was really powerful because she got an attunement and her baby did too. Oh. And so we didn't know at the time because it was new to us, but we're like, I hope it doesn't do anything to the baby. Well, of course it's not going to now. I know this, but back then we're like, oh, I hope it didn't mess him up. He's like the most chill kid. Like it was really interesting energy. Yeah, and so that's like a jumping off point for myself as well. Is like getting all the chaos, organizing it into a beautiful channel so that it can be used for so much more than just scattered everywhere. So I get you with the brain. It's important.
It is important.
Yeah. So Reiki definitely started my journey to so many other things.
Yes. And
it's in my toolbox with all the things. So it's beautiful. Yeah. Let's see here. So your tuning forks, how do you feel about those? Because I know you're just kind of on a new journey with learning that. And I know it's probably not a lot going on with that yet. But how do you feel about them? What do they do for you?
What they do for me is I find them very soothing. They really help with your body. If you have a really sore body, I find they help with your body. They also, there's so many different ones, tuning forks, and I love the brain ones. The brain ones that they help calm the mind. They kind of just realign.
Yes. Yes. I know that's something I would like to get done again too, because it really does feel good.
It does.
It gets all your neurons firing in the right way. It feels really good. Yeah. All right. So you did take some tuning fork training,
Yes.
and did that give you a better understanding of how they work on your body?
Yes. The training was, it taught me a lot. It helped a lot, because you can use them for all kinds of things, like for body aches, for cleansing the blood, for your brain, opening up your heart, clearing your auric field.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your biosphere. I just think they're wonderful tools.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we're grateful to have Sophie because she knows how to teach people very well.
Yes, she does.
And
she's a great
she's a
teacher.
master at using those things. They're amazing. So, is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners about your journey so far, other than what you've said already?
It's been a good journey. Like, even with the negative, I think it's brought me to this point. It's brought me to this point, and I'm so thankful for actually being here. As before, I just couldn't wait to be taken out. So I've come to that. It's been a great journey, and I'm finally thankful for my journey and appreciate me for being here.
Yes, and you know, if we think about the light that we have, and if we just learn to shine our own light, it'll help somebody. We don't have to do anything for anyone else, really. Just to be our best selves, and that will ripple out, right?
Right.
And that's beautiful. So, yeah, as you go, like, our whole life is learning, right?
Right.
So they're never going to be done, those lessons that we have. And so learning to incorporate them and make them a little less deep. Keep going up. Sometimes they're down, but you know, keep going up. That's the plan.
Yes.
You know, we're going to be hit with roadblocks here and there, and we're learning tools on how to get around those things. Yeah. So, is there anything else you'd like to share? Like, any last thoughts about what you hope to bring forward in the future for people?
I hope to bring inspiration, that you're not what you're told that you are, that you can be more than that, Yes.
Now, I'm having a hard time remembering, but you had a nice little saying from a friend earlier. Do you remember what it was?
Oh, no.
I was like, that was really good.
About guilt. I used to hold a lot of guilt and shame.
Okay.
And I had a friend tell me, why do you carry so much guilt and shame? And I have, just because of my story, I always felt like I was ashamed of who I was. And she said to me, it's because you lowered your values in order to fit in to your, and that's not who you are.
See, that's beautiful. So it's like someone else, their interpretation of who you are doesn't mean you have to be down here to be in their world.
Yes.
You're creating your own frequency up here.
Yes.
And don't let anyone tear you down.
Including yourself.
That's right. Right? We're the best ones at that, aren't we?
We are, yes.
We're usually our worst critics and our worst enemies some days.
Yes, that's true.
You know, we're really hard on ourselves more than anyone else, I find.
Yes.
And just being able to value who we are and love ourselves, that's like the daily journey.
It is a daily journey.
It's like, how can I love myself today? And just pick even one thing.
Another technique that I do is that I look in the mirror, and it's hard in the beginning, but I'll go in the mirror and I'll go, I love you, I love you, I love you. And let me walk calmly and quietly upon the earth today.
Wow, that's beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. So I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything else, but I think we've had a lovely conversation.
Yes.
I'm grateful to have you here today.
Thank
you so much for sharing a bit of Christina. And you're welcome to come back anytime if you have some updates or you want to share some more information. And we look forward to having her back.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for letting me share.
Yes, thank you so much.